What a chaotic day for the FIA. The new race director, Rui Marquez, isn't pulling any punches, that's for sure. But let's be honest, some of today's incidents could have been handled better. These decisions didn't just affect the race, they outright ruined it for drivers like Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris. The strict enforcement of the rulebook was a major talking point, especially since Norris was battling Sten for P1. It didn't matter to Marquez, rules were rules, and he made sure they were followed to the letter. Now, let's talk about the delay in calling out the safety car early on. This was due to debris from Kevin Magnussen's car being left on the track for far too long. It's already being scrutinized heavily, and there's a lot of buzz about how Ben Sulayem, the FIA president, might handle the backlash. With the Grand Prix Drivers Association also weighing in recently, the governing body might be in for a tougher time in terms of leadership and trust. If you caught the race, you probably noticed how penalties were handed out almost Formula 2 style. Everything was reviewed and nothing went unpunished. The drama started with Hamilton's false start. He admitted it was his mistake, apologized to his team, and took a 10-second penalty on the chin. Fair enough. The controversy unfolded when Kevin Magnussen's wing mirror detached from his car, falling onto the track and triggering double yellow flags on the main straight. During this period, Lando Norris was observed not slowing down sufficiently, leading to an unfair advantage. As a result, race stewards issued a 10-second stop-and-go penalty to Norris. This penalty significantly impacted his race, dropping him from a potential podium finish to 10th place. The timing of this penalty couldn't have been worse for Norris or McLaren. They were in a prime position to strike a big blow against Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship, but the penalty derailed everything. Instead of a potential victory, McLaren left the race with a 21-point deficit heading into Abu Dhabi. Norris was understandably livid and openly questioned the logic behind the penalty. Even Jenson Button, the 2009 world champion and current Sky F1 pundit, had his say. He called the penalty harsh and unbelievably extreme. And you know what? He had a point. Norris had just switched to fresh, soft compound tires and was perfectly poised for a win. The penalty crushed that opportunity. Instead of walking away with a hefty haul of points, McLaren ended up with only 2 from Norris and 17 from Oscar Piastri, while Ferrari scooped up a whopping 26 points. This means the Constructors' Championship fight is going down to the wire in Abu Dhabi. Could this all have been avoided? Maybe. But Norris ultimately bears some responsibility for not respecting the yellow flag rules. And the FIA wasn't done handing out penalties. Both Mercedes drivers also got penalized during the safety car period for pit lane infractions. Hamilton picked up a drive-through penalty, and George Russell got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. This all happened because the safety car led the cars through the pit lane while clearing debris, which had already caused punctures for both Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. It wasn't just the big names who got caught out. Alex Albon also got a 5-second penalty for overly aggressive driving against Magnussen, pushing the Haas driver too hard on the outside. Penalties were being thrown around like confetti. And let's not forget Verstappen. He started second on the grid, but only after receiving a bizarre one-place grid penalty for impeding Russell during qualifying. Verstappen argued that Russell was on a preparation lap and that his actions weren't unnecessarily slow. Still, the penalty stuck, even though similar incidents are often overlooked. This inconsistency is really starting to annoy fans. Take previous races, for example. In Vegas, Sainz rejoined the track at full speed without any penalty, and in Brazil, Norris led the grid into an illegal formation lap with no repercussions. When things like this happen, it's no wonder fans and drivers alike question the FIA's decisions. One of the most shocking moments of today's race came when a piece of Magnussen's car landed right on the start-finish line. Normally, you'd expect at least a virtual safety car or marshals to step in and remove the debris immediately. But instead, nothing happened for 2 whole laps. It wasn't until Bottas ran over the debris while trying to avoid a Ferrari, no less, that the situation escalated. The scattered debris then caused punctures for both Hamilton and Sainz. This delay in intervention not only made the race more dangerous, but also contributed to Norris's penalty. If the safety car had been called out earlier, would he still have been penalized for failing to lift under the initial yellow flag? Probably not. And could Hamilton's penalty have been avoided? Possibly. All of this raises a critical question. How can the FIA expect to maintain credibility if they're this inconsistent and slow to act? For Formula One to remain the pinnacle of motorsport, its governing body needs to step up. Drivers want a strong, respected FIA, but that won't happen if penalties are being dished out left and right just to prove a point. When a single race sees 2 punctures caused by debris that should have been cleared sooner, it's clear something needs to change. To be fair, the FIA is trying to improve. Bringing in a new race director and restructuring their approach shows they're serious about getting things right. But today's events prove they still have a long way to go, not just for the upcoming race in Abu Dhabi, but also heading into the 2025 season and beyond. Were the penalties too harsh? Maybe. And if they were, how would drivers and teams respond moving forward? Then there's the ongoing tension between the GPDA and the FIA. Adding today's penalties to the mix will only fuel more complaints. And to stir the pot even further, a former FIA member, who just so happens to be the son of McLaren's co-founder, recently accused Mohammed Ben Sulayem of taking criticisms too personally. According to him, this personal vendetta is what led to the recent shakeup in FIA leadership. Ironically, this same critic has faced his own share of scrutiny for being in the steward's room during the Mexico Grand Prix. He claims he was volunteering, but many question the impartiality of his role in decisions, including those affecting Verstappen. It all adds to the growing sense that something isn't quite right within the FIA. Despite all this drama, Ben Sulayem remains firm in his stance. His message to the drivers is simple: focus on racing and leave the rest to us. He's also quick to point out the FIA's investment in grassroots motorsport. In his words, "It's none of the GPDA's business. With all respect, I am a driver. I respect the drivers. Let them go and concentrate on what they do best, which is race. But okay, you want to know how much we paid in grassroots? I'll tell you, we've invested 10.3 million euros in grassroots last year, and I think that is a lot of money. In 2024, up to now, we've invested over 10 million euros back in grassroots, and that is in karting. The departures from the FIA are our business. We will do whatever is good for the FIA, so it's really none of people's business to interfere in ours. It's the results that we produce. Do we have to tell them? When something in the team changes, do they tell us? No, they don't. Nobody has to. We have the rule. We follow our rules. We don't follow someone else's rule. Simple as this. So here's the big question. Were today's penalties justified? And do you think this will lead to any meaningful changes in the FIA's approach? Drivers are already voicing their frustration, so it'll be interesting to see how things unfold in the coming days. As we wrap up today's analysis, the FIA's handling of penalties and decisions has certainly been a topic of intense debate. While it's clear that the new race director, Rui Marquez, is determined to maintain strict adherence to the rules, questions remain about the consistency and timing of their actions. The race was certainly filled with drama, but it left many wondering if it could have been handled better. What do you think? Were the penalties too harsh, or was the FIA right to enforce them? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth F1 coverage, and don't forget to share this with your fellow F1 fans. We love hearing from you, so let us know your thoughts on the FIA's decisions and how it will impact the remainder of the season. Until next time, stay tuned.